Alright guys, it's time for a quick video before I go off to the movie theater to see Solaris. Very excited. Recently I made this video, which tab is it in? This one. The greatest play ever made in competitive Pokemon about CL's incredible setup in the Smogon Tour Finals of Spring 2016. And people were mentioning, actually, it's the Ruhr play. Now, I have mentioned the Ruhr play on this channel so many times. In fact, there are comments on McMegan's video about it saying BKC sent me. I think I must have mentioned it on 3 separate occasions at least, so I didn't want to just do that, especially when McMegan's already made such a good video about it. But yes, this is an extraordinary play, and if you're not familiar with it, then please go check McMegan's video out. The summary is that Ruhr fakes a Choice Band T-Tar, fakes a Choice Scarf T-Tar, and it's actually Choice Band, and he pursuits a Mienshao that's otherwise going to destroy him. And you say, wow, that sounds pretty amazing, but I have to stress just how amazing it is, because at the time this play was made, such an idea was almost non-existent. Like, the average player now could conceive of such a play because of the past, decade plus of knowledge of plays like this being made. But this play this play did invent the genre of pursuing things that aren't weak to pursuit, or are resistant to pursuit, I should say. It became, this mini thing over the years as, the best players tried to compete over who could pull off the more ridiculous pursuits. Like, yeah, I pursued that Clefable in Auras for 17%, and it doesn't have lefties, so that's a big deal. So, but, this was the first one, right? And to, fake a set like that is still an extraordinarily rare thing today. So go check that video out. And another one of the insane plays on this list is in the same genre of set faking, which is one reason why it's so incredible. But especially, it's one thing to fake a set when you're just in a good position and you just pretend like you don't have a move. But it's another thing entirely to fake a set when you are up against the wall. That the kind of pressure involved there is really something. Some people also, and when I made the video on CL's thing recently, then they mentioned, oh, well, what about your video on your favorite play of all time? Now, the favorite play of all time, I didn't even see this live. I just read about it. I don't even know what happened in the battle beyond this. But I made this video about Earthworm using Brave Bird with a Skarmory on the first turn of the battle. And on the first turn it was out, not the first turn of the battle, and he caught an unrevealed Breloom switch in, and that really opened up my world for what was possible in competitive Pokemon, which is why it's my favorite. But CL's play was the best to me. Although obviously the Ruhr play really ranks up there. And even in this video on Earthworm's Skarmory using Brave Bird like this, that it opens with a plug for Ruhr versus Blue and McMegan's thing. So, yeah. Now, I was inspired to revisit this subject, not just because of your kind comments, whose enthusiasm I really appreciated, but because I recently wrote a pair of articles for Smogon, because the World Cup is going on right now, and they were like, hey, someone else was supposed to write this, and he dropped out, can you write it? So, the top 5 World Cup Pokemon moments and the top 5 World Cup Pokemon performances, they're also linked in the pinned comment, along with everything else. I think you will enjoy them. I think I'll be covering some stuff like this in some videos in the near future as well, some of the details there, because going over these things again really, awoke a sort of spark in me, and I was like, yeah, that'd be great to go over again. And it reminded me of some of these amazing plays. Now, another one of these amazing plays I wanted to mention that has already been on the channel is this replay of this recreation of the battle log between Golden Sun and Blue in the 2011 World Cup Finals, which you can find in a thread on Smogon. Or actually, I'll leave it in the pinned comment. But I already made a video about it. It's in the Greatest Battles series. And it is Golden Sun using Will-O-Wisp when on a predicted double switch from Blue and catching Dugtrio. And it's a really extraordinary play. So again, check this video out for that one, because I can't really do justice to it here within the time frame I have. And to say nothing of the fact that I think I already have done it justice by going over it in such detail. So, Now we're going to go over a couple of plays that I have not covered in the channel or have not been covered elsewhere. So the first one, this one is a pair of or a couple of plays that I was reminded of when writing that article on the top 5 World Cup of Pokemon moments. For those who are familiar with this battle, they know it ends heartbreakingly. It's a World Cup Finals 2021 tiebreaker, deciding game of the tiebreaker. And it starts so horribly for X-Ray because he just loses Toxapex. It gets its Trick Scarf, or sorry, yeah, it gets its it gets tricked a Scarf, and then trapped by Whirlpool, and Finny wears it down, and then even tricks its Scarf back at the very beginning, or at the very end, sorry. And Toxapex goes down, having done absolutely nothing, because then Tapu Koko comes in to scare the Finny out, and EO's Galarian Slowking comes in and absorbs the Teak Spike, so Toxapex did nothing. So X-Ray's fighting from behind. So this entire battle is really an extraordinary display from X-Ray, because he has to, he's down 5-6, and he has to make all sorts of... Now, this is actually a great play that foreshadows what was going to happen later, that he ice punches the Galarian Slowking with his Buzzwole. He's got to be so far out in front. Like, he T-punched the Lando T with his Buzzwole because he knows he has to... he has to make up for lost ground, right? So he has to catch these pivots, as they're happening. He can't feel out EO's style. He's got to go aggressive, get out in front. So Heatran gets rocks, Victini and then gets defogged, and the Victini sets up with Focus Energy. There's Buzzwole staying in again, trying to ice punch the Lando T double. Beautiful move. A beautiful idea from X-Ray. Actually, a good idea from X-Ray, but he didn't expect the V-Create into Heatran just to blank. He expected the double to Lando T, so he's trying to ice punch it. So you can see how he's trying to catch this sort of thing, but it Focus Energy, so now it crits, and that means Lando T. It's going to ignore Intimidate, and is going to be really threatening. So now what he does is he switches Buzzwole into Lando T on the Bolt Strike, not on the V-Create, on the Bolt Strike, knowing the Heatran is going to be predicted, and then pivots into Heatran on the V-Create, Earth Powers, Bolt Strike, crit to a KO, or is going to crit, so it's going to 2 a KO, but then he stays in, thinking EO is going to switch to Lando T and V-Create, and he does, and so what's particularly amazing about this, but this isn't even the play we're talking about, what's amazing about this is that this Heatran that he risked the death of is so instrumental. It's not just like, oh, well, I'll risk the Heatran, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. No, he's on death's door, and he needs his Heatran, and he risks it because he is so far behind. So the Buzzwole now he's trying to make such aggressive plays with is now toxic, so it's on a timer, and so he's double switching into Heatran, getting that Magma off on the Spidef Lando, and he's finally regaining some momentum. And U-turn, and this is exactly what I mean. Heatran comes in over and over and over and over, and it misses a Magma. I mean, 1 of 2 Magmas is not the most outrageous thing ever, but he's falling so far behind. Now Buzzwole comes in on Lando, and he roosts up on the Galarian Slowking switch. And you would think, oh, is he going to try that Ice Punch thing again? Nope, he goes to Weavile, try to get something going there, knocking off the Corviknight Rocky Helmet. Yeah. And again, he's not only threatening with the Heatran's Magma Storms and Stealth Rocks, he's also using it to absorb the Galarian Slowking's Future Sights. This is such an incredible balancing act on all fronts. And remember, this is the thing he was risking earlier. And, I mean, to make it even worse, he just takes an Earthquake as he gets up rocks. But, hey, that just means he gets up rocks so we can start punishing EO switches more. So, and EO's no slouch there. As you see, he Sludge Bombs the Lando T. And... yes, he Sludge Bombs Lando T on the switch and gets Future Sighted, Rocky Helmet's been knocked off, sorry. So that Weavile switch was really, really nice for that. Heatran getting a little bit of health back, more Magma Storm, wearing things down with rocks, and pivots into Lando T beautifully. And now EO's the one making the bold switch, and there's the Buzzwole into the low health Galarian Slowking, which I believe it's threatened by the Earthquake here. and he double switches on to Heatran again, getting lefties, health on Corviknight, and not only, see, this is exactly what I mean. Beautiful move there, because not only does it switch into get lefties on the Heatran, and it threatens another Magma Storm, which is such a pain with Feeny doesn't heal, and it's scarfed, and Slowking is low, but he's also going to absorb the future sight that's going to go off now. So it's such a beautiful multi-layered play. Really incredible stuff from X-Ray. Lando T's getting worn down like hell, as you see here. Buzzwole coming in again with now Slowking switches in more easily because of the because there's the lack of rocks now. Now, I'm not sure if this about the likelihood of Earthquake on this Buzzwole. I assume it is being taken into account, but here's the really beautiful move. Remember earlier he ice punched that Galarian Slowking with his with Buzzwole, and now he does it again, and now he catches the Lando, because you'd think, well, pivots into Heatran or Earthquake, either is fine, and I regen the Slowking, so that it's fine. It could be in range of an Earthquake, but really, really beautiful stuff. So now Slowking regens, and notice how Buzzwole's losing health at the same time. So this is really not an easy move to make, because he could just lose his Buzzwole if it goes wrong. And he really needs it. So now Slowking comes in, and it's at good health. And here's the really incredible move. Now he uses Close Combat into the Galarian Slowking, which would, bounce off. And obviously, he's already on Death's Door. But he catches the Weavile double. And that was just gorgeous. This is the kind of, insanity. Because it's not just, insanity for the sake of it. It's measured and beautiful stuff. Now, the way the rest of this game, I can't give it its due because I'm under time pressure here. I can't give it its due because what eventually happens is a lot of other. This really is an amazing game, so watch it at your own leisure, please. But eventually, after another Magma miss, Heatran gets rocks, Whirlpool. Yeah, so what happens is Weavile needs to avoid a crit or a burn from Flamethrower, and then hit the triple axle 3 times against Corviknight. And it misses on the first try. Tragic stuff. Now, but yeah, those plays with Buzzwole were really incredible. And it wasn't just like, he was playing a bad game the whole time and he had to do that to come back. He was playing an amazing game the whole time, and then when he most needed to, he really stepped on the gas even harder. So, because of time constraints, and I really got to get out of here, we're also going to rush through this one. This is Brofist at the peak of his powers, he had a whole career full of amazing plays like this, but this one was really, really extraordinary. So, basically a bunch of stuff happens, and then what doesn't, Heatran sets up Stealth Rock as Mega Zam comes in, doesn't even Mega yet, but it's because he wants to keep that Magic Guard in case of Toxic, but he protects because he wants to see what it's going to do, and then it Calm Minds, and that is bad. So now Assault Vest Tangrowth comes in, dodges a Focus Blast. At grassy terrain with Assault Vest, it would have been okay, but as you see from how much that Psychic did, but it's also not great. So the Knocks Off doesn't quite do enough. Now the problem is, the option for, outspeeding and beating this thing is, Mega Medicham, Fake Out repeatedly, or you Tapu Koko and you, sacrifice it, and then you activate Hawlucha's Unburden with the seed, the electric seed, and then you outspeed it and acrobatics. But by the time you actually get your Revenge Killer in, which that one will work a lot quicker than the Medicham thing, especially if the Zam recovers, God forbid. So, what's really is the problem is by the time you get that Revenge Killer in, you've already lost such a significant portion of your team that it's going to be very difficult to come back. So to get out of the situation against the Zam with the unexpected Calm Mind, when so many Zam at this time are 3 attacks recover, is incredibly difficult, borderline impossible. So it recovers, and Heatran goes for the Z in the event that that it misses. So Inferno Overdrive does not quite do it. So now he goes to Greninja on the recover. So good move. Well, it's a good move if you're Scarf Greninja, but the thing is, this isn't Scarf Greninja. Because if it was Scarf Greninja with U-turn, I would have mentioned that. But Kickasser doesn't know that. This is in reality, for Brofist, this is a standard Ash Greninja. Spikes, Water Shuriken, Dark Pulse, and Hydro Pump, or Surf. And Surf is better, by the way. Myself and ABR agreed on that back in the current gen. And unless you're running Modest in Rain, like I did, because that's awesome. Not practical, but awesome. So this is a Greninja that gets outsped and obliterated by +1 Focus Blast, right? But Kickaster doesn't know it's not Scarf. Why would he switch into the Greninja if it's not going to Scarf, Protean, U-turn, and KO the Zam? So I better just get out of there, right? And what happens? Well, he's going to go to, to add to the drama, then there's a brief disconnect where Brofist fights his New York internet. And, then Kickaster says something in French. I don't know what that says. Someone please translate. And yes. So Heatran comes in to absorb the Protean U-turn. Heatran's generally a pretty good switch to Scarf Greninja. They don't really focus on moves that KO it. It's Spikes, U-turn, and then things like Rock Slide for Volcarona, Ice Beam, and he goes for the Specs Hydro Pump and reveals he's Ash Greninja, and down goes Heatran. So not only did he not lose any Pokemon to the Zam, he evolved his Ash Greninja against a Calm Mind boosted Mega Zam. Oh my god. So this is well and truly extraordinary, and he goes on to win the game. But that play was, he lost some health on Tangrowth. He regenerates it off. He loses less than half health on 2 Pokemon and gains an Ash Greninja, which then is sacrifices itself to take down the Greninja because he doesn't think that it's going to be able to take it out in return, but it gets Z fightinged. But hey, it put the Greninja in KO range and took out the Heatran, and most importantly, neutralized the Alakazam threat. And God, what a beautiful move. Faking Scarf Greninja like that and clicking Hydro Pump is just so cold. Not even going for like the Desperation Water Shuriken. Oh, it'll get it in range of Medicham Fake Out more easily. No, going all the way. Beautiful move. And now then a bunch of stuff happens, and which we sadly don't have time to go over. It just keeps going. He pivots Tangrowth in, takes 2 Psychics, knocks it off. Medicham pivots into Mega Zam on the recover, and knowing that even if it attacks, then it will survive and fake out range. Then he misses a high jump kick. So sad. Zam comes in again. Coco drops. And he just keeps going. I forgot just how many plays he pulled off in this. He goes to Hawlucha and SDs in front of the Zam. See that again. Tapu Koko goes down. I'm going a little fast here because time pressure. But really, look at this. Zam KO's top. Jesus Christ, sorry. Yeah, Tapu Koko goes down, and Hawlucha comes in, and it SDs in front of the Zam. Defense boost, by the way, not special defense boost. He SDs on the switch to Lando T, and he SDs again for the roll on Clefable, if I recall, and gets it, and that's the game. So, but really, that Greninja thing is just gorgeous. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.